Imagine you're just sitting on your couch, right? You're scrolling through your social media feed.
Like we all do, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you land on this video, and it is completely mundane. I mean, just this grayscale clip of someone walking. Nothing special at all.
Right, just totally boring.
Yeah, so you watch it for like maybe a fraction of a second, and then you just swipe right past it. You don't give it a second thought. But in that tiny, almost imperceptible window, that boring little video didn't just register as some engagement metric for a digital algorithm.
No, it did something much bigger.
Right. It acted as a metaphysical key. Like it literally granted unseen entities direct access to your physical cells.
Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive for today, Wednesday, June 24th, 2026.
It's great to be here. And, you know, that hook, it really sounds like the premise for a science fiction thriller or a horror movie.
Oh, absolutely.
But that is actually the literal scenario presented in the stack of sources we're analyzing today. We are looking at a transcript from this really esoteric investigative hypnosis session. It's known as the Torenza case. The Torenza case.
Yeah. And we're pairing that alongside this very detailed disclosure video, a video that breaks down the rigorous, honestly, almost statistical framework that the research team uses to investigate these kinds of claims.
So the mission for this deep dive is basically twofold.
Yeah.
First, we're going to explore the frankly wild claims of this hypnotic journey. I mean, we're talking astral manipulation, microscopic cybernetic spiders.
Yes, the spider!
Yeah, right. And ancient underground beings just like pulling the strings of human misery.
Yeah.
But then, and I think this is the really crucial part, we're going to pivot. We are going to unpack the surprisingly grounded methodology these researchers use to actually sift for truth in the astral plane, because they definitely do not take a single session at face value.
Oh, far from it. Not at all. The researchers involved in this, they're part of a specialized investigative team, and they treat individual hypnosis sessions as inherently contaminated data.
Contaminated right from the start.
Exactly. So to understand how they find the actual signal in all that noise, we first have to really understand the noise itself.
Okay, let's unpack this setup, because the source material refers to this as a blind protocol.
Right.
How does that actually work in practice? I mean, if you're going to put someone under hypnosis to investigate some sort of metaphysical attack, don't they need to know what they're looking for?
You'd think so, but counterintuitively, no. In a true blind protocol, the subject, and in this case it's a woman named Anna, she has absolutely zero prior knowledge of the target.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. She doesn't know the client, she doesn't know the premise of the session, and she certainly doesn't know that they're investigating a viral video. The hypnotherapist simply induces the trance state and then just gives her a single target word.
Just the word.
Just the word, and that word is Torenza.
Torenza. And Anna's physical reaction to that word is, well, it's immediate. She reports this really sharp, peculiar sensation right in her chest, like a tightening, or she describes it as a shrinking feeling.
Yeah, a very visceral somatic trigger.
Right. And from that feeling, this whole cascade of imagery just begins.
She describes seeing a vortex. It's this massive, dark, subterranean funnel, and it's made entirely of swirling red and black energy.
It's massive.
Huge. And she actually pinpoints the location of this vortex, too. She says it's deep underground, somewhere beneath the American continent, and it's actively pulling energy down from the surface.
Which obviously prompts the hypnotherapist to push further.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a vortex pulling energy, what is the actual mechanism feeding it?
Right, there has to be an engine.
Exactly. And this is where Anna visually travels, like, behind the screen of that viral video associated with the word Torenza.
Yeah.
And she perceives a monitor guarded by this dark entity. And behind that, a whole group of humanoid beings.
Right, the architects of this whole thing. They're described as gray, entirely black and white figures, and they're gathered around this sphere that represents Earth. Anna notes that these beings operate strictly from the astral plane.
The etheric realm.
Yes, the etheric realm.
I want to pause there for a second, actually, because etheric realm is one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot in these circles. What exactly are we talking about here in the context of this specific investigation?
Well, in these esoteric frameworks, the etheric realm is essentially the energetic blueprint that underpins our physical reality.
Okay, like the code behind the software.
That's a great way to put it. It's a subtle dimension where thoughts, emotions, intentions, they take on this quasi-physical form before they ever manifest in our waking world. So these beings, they understand the physics of this realm perfectly, and they use it to implant seeds into human consciousness.
bypassing our waking logic completely.
Exactly. They go straight for the subconscious.
And their primary delivery mechanism for these seeds is, as we mentioned, this viral video. But the video is not like some flashy, swirling hypnotic spiral.
No, not at all.
It is bizarrely mundane.
Yeah.
Anna describes it as looking somewhat like that famous photo of the Beatles crossing Abbey Road. But it's just one person walking right to left in an extreme close-up and entirely in black and white.
And that mundane nature is precisely its camouflage.
How so?
Well, think about it. If you see something actively disturbing or overtly hypnotic, your critical thinking engages right away.
Yeah, your psychological defenses go up. You're like, what is this?
Right. But a boring grayscale clip of a person just walking, it slips completely under the radar. You don't put your guard up for a boring video.
Wait, so you're saying just looking at this boring video for a split second is the equivalent of, like, a vampire's invitation? Like clicking, I agree on a metaphysical terms of service.
It is so much faster than a terms of service. You don't even have to physically click anything.
Wow.
Anna describes it as a millisecond trance. Just a fraction of a second your eyes rest on that video, time essentially pauses for your subconscious. That visual input alone creates a backdoor. It's an energetic permission slip, and it's granted simply by the act of observing.
Man, that is creepy. And once they have that permission, they don't just like passively watch you, they actively hack your real-world algorithm.
They absolutely do.
They flood your actual social media feed with negative content. Wars, violence, depressing news, things you probably wouldn't normally even engage with.
Because they're engineering a feedback loop. By introducing this subtle drop in your energetic frequency, and by frequency we mean the rate at which your personal energy oscillates, they literally make you a vibrational match for darker content.
So the video opens the door.
Yes. The entities tweak your digital feed, you consume the darker content, your frequency drops even further, and then you become even more susceptible to their influence. It's a downward spiral.
I am really stuck on the biology here, though, because a video is just light on a screen, right? But the source describes this metaphysical malware actually infecting the physical hardware of the human body. How does an invisible backdoor translate into an actual biological infection?
This is where it gets really visceral. Anna describes seeing these microscopic robotic entities. She calls them cybernetic nanospiders.
Oh man, nanospiders.
Yeah. And they pour out of the video's energetic signature. They don't just hover around your aura. They physically enter the body through your pores.
Just right through the skin.
Right through the skin, and they head straight for the cellular level.
But what are they actually doing to the cells? Is it just a psychological trigger, or are they literally physically altering the biology?
According to the session, it's a literal cellular experiment. These nanospiders, they carry specific, really dense energetic codes. They attach to a cell and they inject this code.
Like a virus.
Exactly like a virus. And if the cell's natural energy turns black, meaning it transmutes from a healthy, vibrant vibration down to this dense, heavy frequency, the experiment is deemed a success.
And then the spiders siphon that black, transmutated energy right out of the cell and send it all the way back down into that subterranean red and black vortex we talked about earlier.
Right. But the entities have to monitor this constantly because the human body has a natural energetic immune system. Some cells are strong enough to recognize that foreign code, reject the dense frequency, and just repair themselves. So, to prevent that natural healing, the entities have to keep bombarding the viewer with negative media. They have to ensure the systemic infection holds.
So even if the spider fails to fully mutate a cell, it still leaves a mark, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It strips away your emotional filters.
It does.
And if you're listening to this and wondering if your sudden doom-scrolling habit is like a nanospider infection, Anna's personal experience in the hypnosis is incredibly relevant here. She normally avoids videos showing animal suffering. She actively hates them.
Most people do.
Right. But under the influence of this infection, her cells are left so raw and so receptive that if she accidentally sees one of those videos, the image just burns into her biology. She isn't repelled anymore. She becomes totally desensitized. And then, disturbingly, she starts craving the very negativity she used to avoid.
And what's fascinating here is that craving is the ultimate goal of the conditioning. It ties directly back to the visual aesthetic of the whole trap.
The grayscale.
Yes. Notice that the video and the entities themselves are perceived entirely in grayscale. The hypnotherapist actually specifically asks Anna if there is an intentional mechanism behind this total lack of color.
Yeah, and Anna compares it to gloomy weather.
Yeah.
Like when it rains for a week straight, the skies are just flat gray and everyone's mood just collectively plummets.
The weather analogy perfectly describes the mood it creates, but the mechanics of it are more like throwing a heavy tarp over a solar panel.
I like that.
Think of your cells as solar panels that literally require the full spectrum of energetic light to maintain their defenses. Vibrancy, color, joy, these things activate the cell, they keep the frequency high. Grayscale artificially starves the cell of that energetic input.
It just shuts it down.
It induces a state of somnambulism, a sort of waking sleep. It puts the cell in a dormant, incredibly vulnerable state, which makes the injection of that dense code much, much easier.
Wow. Now, there's another highly specific, almost surgical detail Anna notices about the spiders that I definitely want to bring up. They do not attack the body randomly.
No, they are very strategic.
They exclusively attach to and form circuits on the left side of the body. Why the left side?
Well, in many esoteric and energetic traditions, the body is polarized. The right side is typically associated with the masculine polarity.
So that's logic, analysis, action.
Right. And the left side is associated with the feminine polarity. Intuition, receptivity, emotion.
So they're completely bypassing the logical firewall entirely. They aren't trying to outsmart your rational brain. They're just slipping the malware straight through the emotional receptive center.
Precisely. If you want to install an emotional virus, you hack the most receptive part of consciousness. It's a systematic dismantling of the subject's energetic defenses. And once those defenses are finally down, the hypnotherapist decides it is time to find out who is actually running this whole operation.
Right. It's time to meet the architect of all this misery. So Anna is prompted to isolate the leader, the big boss of this astral network. And she feels this massive, intimidating energy. And she hears this deep, booming voice echoing like it's coming over a loudspeaker.
Very Wizard of Oz.
Totally. So she's bracing herself for this towering, terrifying demon.
Like a giant gargoyle or something, right?
But the visual representation she actually pulls up is a stark contrast to that projected energy.
It's almost funny. She sees this microscopic ant-like creature. She dubs him Mr. X. He's projecting this massive, booming presence, but in reality, he's just this tiny little thing.
Tiny but incredibly arrogant. The hypnotherapist immediately engages Mr. X in an interrogation, and his arrogance is just staggering. He identifies his species as the Hormoxolos.
The Hormoxolos?
Yeah, and he makes a real point to say they are not extraterrestrial invaders. He claims they have lived deep inside the Earth's crust and at the bottom of the oceans since the planet's actual inception. And his disdain for humanity is just palpable. He calls humans ignorant, claiming we are completely blind to the microscopic world and we only pay attention to things bigger than a thumb.
Which, ironically, includes him.
Right, and he even mocks human science. He taunts the hypnotherapist about elements we haven't even discovered yet. He mentions things called sulfida and ricodon, claiming they exist deep underground, entirely outside of biological structures.
Yeah, and mentioning undiscovered elements is a very classic psychological tactic in these astral interrogations. By throwing out terms like sulfida, he's attempting to establish intellectual and evolutionary superiority.
Like you don't even know your own periodic table.
Exactly. It's his way of saying you don't even know what your own planet is made of. How could you possibly understand us? He views humans not as the masters of the earth, but as an arrogant, highly destructive virus.
Okay, wait, here's where it gets really interesting. I have to push back on this. So the villain's motive in this bizarre scenario is basically radical environmentalism.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe these subterranean entities are essentially astral Greenpeace. That sounds incredibly convenient.
Well, it's less about environmentalism and more about parasitic equilibrium. Mr. X argues that the Hormoxolos have always lived in perfect harmony with the Earth. While humans pollute the oceans, we destroy the skies, and we're consumed by this massive collective ego. To him, humans are quite literally bacteria infecting the host body of the planet.
But the hypnotherapist catches the hypocrisy right away.
Huh.
She asks him, if you love nature and harmony so much, why are you violently interfering with humanity through viral videos and dark nanospiders? That doesn't exactly sound like living in harmony.
And Mr. X's justification reveals the true parasite-host dynamic at play. He claims humans broke the balance first. The Hormoxolos are simply creating an equilibrium by helping the Earth cure itself of the virus.
But they're not, like, attacking us with physical weapons. They are just using the Torenza video to trigger our own lowest instincts.
And that is the masterstroke of their plan. They want humanity to destroy itself. By lowering our frequency, injecting this dark energy, and flooding our awareness with conflict and depression, they push humanity towards self-annihilation.
Right.
Whether an individual succumbs to severe depression or societies tear each other apart in global wars, the end result is the same.
And it serves a highly beneficial dual purpose for the Hormoxolos. It cures the Earth of the human virus, sure, but more importantly, the dark, heavy energy generated by human suffering acts as literal, physical, and energetic food for his species. We are basically an all-you-can-eat buffet, fueled by our own self-destruction.
It paints a very bleak picture of our relationship with unseen forces, doesn't it?
Very.
However, the protocol requires the hypnotherapist to guide the subject toward a resolution, a way to actually neutralize the trap.
And Anna's method for resolving this is fascinating. She doesn't fight the ant creature directly, like she doesn't try to squash him. Instead, she travels back in time, energetically speaking, to the origin point before that manipulated video was ever released. She looks at the underlying energetic code of the video, and she essentially acts as an astral programmer. She just edits the code.
Right. She inserts a new line of intention that acts as an energetic shield. It effectively blocks the subliminal malware, but she goes a step further than just blocking it.
Oh yeah, she changes the entire frequency. She takes this depressing grayscale trap and visualizes turning it into a vibrant, highly colorful cartoon.
A cartoon.
Yeah. And what is truly wild is Mr. X's reaction to this. You would expect an arrogant mastermind to be furious that his grand plan was foiled by a lowly human. But Anna reports that he actually smiles.
It's a reaction of almost grudging respect, as if humanity finally managed to pass a hidden test.
Like, okay, maybe you aren't completely helpless bacteria after all. Good job. And after editing the video, Anna turns her attention inward. She visually cleanses her own cells. She sees the black spots in the nanospiders dissolving as she intentionally repaints her internal biology with vibrant colors. She asserts total control over her own internal environment.
Now, this raises an important question. We need to step back because we have just walked through a narrative involving astral ant aliens, emotional malware, and time-traveling energetic video editing.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And if you were listening to this, you're probably wondering, how on earth are we supposed to process a story this wild? Do we just take Anna's word for it? Do the researchers believe this is objective, literal reality?
And that exact skepticism is what makes the second half of our source material so absolutely vital. Because we also have a disclosure video from the research team themselves, specifically the Grifasi team.
Yes.
And they give a very firm, very clear answer to that exact question. No, you absolutely do not take a single session as pure truth.
They are brutally honest about the inherent flaws of their own investigative medium. The researchers explicitly state that any information obtained in a single hypnosis session is highly contaminated.
They break down exactly how that contamination happens, too. When a subject pulls information from the etheric realm, that data has to travel through multiple dimensions and densities before the subject can articulate it. During that transit, it gets intercepted by various conscious entities who might intentionally distort the information or outright lie to protect themselves.
And even if the data somehow bypasses those external entities, it still has to filter through the physical mind of the person in hypnosis.
Right.
Imagine looking at an object resting at the bottom of a pool. The water distorts the shape of the object. In this case, the water is made up of the subject's cultural background, their religious beliefs, their personal fears, and even just the media they happen to consume that week. All of these factors act as a lens that heavily distorts the final picture.
So, if the data is inherently flawed by the subject's own mind, how do they investigate anything? How do you build any sort of consensus on the astral plane? Well, the team uses a really brilliant analogy to explain their method. They liken their investigative protocol to panning for gold in a river.
Yes. If you conduct one session with one person and ask them a question, you are basically scooping up a single handful of river sand. If that person says in the year 1452 in New York, an old man named Tom lived in a specific house.
You have no way of knowing if that's true.
Exactly. You have no way of knowing if that is a historical fact, a weird metaphor, a distorted memory, or an outright lie implanted by a passing entity. It is just sand. You cannot build a worldview on one handful of sand.
So if you want to find the gold, you need scale. You design a strict, unwavering protocol, and you ask the exact same set of questions to hundreds or even thousands of different people in completely blind sessions. They have no idea what the topic is, just like Anna had no idea what Torenza meant.
And once you have thousands of data points, you begin to sift. You throw out all the highly specific, uncorroborated details, the toms from 1452, the specific names of demons, the precise visual manifestations that just don't repeat. You filter out the subjective noise until you are left with recurring structural patterns. These patterns are the pepitas de oro, the gold nuggets.
So if one person sees an ant alien manipulating a video, it's curiosity. It's just sand. But if thousands of disconnected people across entirely different countries and cultures, all in completely blind sessions, independently report insectoid beings manipulating human emotions through media to harvest dense energy.
Then you have something.
Yeah. According to the team's methodology, that underlying mechanism becomes a validated nugget of truth. The specific visual of an ant might just be the subjective translation, but the mechanism of energetic harvesting via media manipulation, that is the gold.
They are basically applying a quasi-scientific method of statistical correlation to metaphysical exploration. They're looking for the architectural signal in a massive sea of subjective noise.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this right now? Because whether you view the Torenza case as a literal report of astral warfare, or you see it as a purely symbolic representation of the human psyche projecting its anxieties about technology, the core takeaway from Anna's session holds immense practical weight.
It really does. The central message is entirely about agency. We are the architects of our own internal reality.
Even when confronted with a grayscale situation, whether that is a literal demonic video designed to hack your cells, or honestly just a really terrible, draining Tuesday, it is always our choice to paint that situation with our own colors. We decide whether to accept the dreary frequency presented to us or to inject our own vibrancy into it. Anna neutralized the threat the exact moment she decided her internal world did not have to match the external grayscale.
To connect this to the bigger picture, consider the reality we actually live in right now. We just spent this deep dive exploring a hypnotic vision. In this vision, hidden entities use mundane, viral videos to bypass human logic. They subtly alter emotions. They make people crave content that keeps them in a perpetual state of outrage, fear, and sadness, all to harvest their attention and drive them towards self-destruction.
When you lay it out like that, it sounds like an intricate, dark fantasy.
It does. But consider the device in your pocket right now. Strip away the subterranean ant aliens. Strip away the astral nanospiders. Look purely at the mechanism Anna described. An invisible architecture designed to hijack your attention, bypass your critical thinking, and feed you a curated stream of negativity that alters your mood and keeps you infinitely scrolling.
I mean, it's the exact blueprint of the digital world.
Isn't that exactly how modern social media algorithms already function in our waking lives? They harvest our attention, our outrage, our time. The real question isn't whether the astral spiders are literally real. The question is, the next time you find yourself staring at a mundane video in your feed, feeling your mood drop and your thumb itching to scroll to the next hit of negativity, are you going to let the algorithm turn your world grayscale, or are you going to choose to see the color?